Winter's here, and it's that time of year that Ocala starts getting visitors from all over the country coming down to enjoy all the wonderful stuff we have to offer here. At least for a little while anyway, before they go back home to all that cold and snow. But if you're considering making that fun trip a little more permanent, let me fill you in on a few things that you might find a little bit different about the Ocala area. Some good, some bad, and some just different than you might see elsewhere. Hi there, Stephanie Frost here, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a few things that people here in Ocala don't even really think about, but that people coming from out of the area might find a little bit different and maybe even a little unexpected. The first thing is the way we dress here. Here in Ocala, you'll probably see a lot of people dressed a little bit differently than you might be used to. There is a massive horse community here in Ocala, and that means that one thing you can expect to see here is a whole lot of people running around in riding breeches and boots, looking like they just got off a horse. And that's because they probably just did. In fact, unlike some other areas of Florida, you're far more likely to see somebody out in public dressed for riding than you will see somebody running around in a swimsuit. Like I said, we are a very horsey area. Another thing you'll see a lot of people wearing here are flip-flops. Believe it or not, there really are flip-flops for pretty much every occasion. I've got at least a dozen pair myself, and pretty much everybody else I know does too. I mean, flip-flops are like the perfect shoe. I have the $3 pair that I slip on to go outside. I have some with heels for going shopping. I even have some with a little bling-bling for when I need to get a little more dressed up. Let's face it, it gets hot here in Ocala. So socks, hose, and closed-toed shoes can be darned uncomfortable. Plus, you can track a lot of sand in going back and forth out of the yard, so it's really handy to keep a cheap pair of flip-flops on the porch to slip on when you head for the mailbox or out to the garden. Of course, even flip-flops have their drawbacks. The biggest one is they don't offer a lot of protection from things like ants. Now, if you were to ask a geologist about Florida, they'll tell you that Florida sits on top of carbonate bays made up mostly of limestone, but they'll believe it. Florida actually sits smack dab on top of a huge ant hill. Ask anybody that lives here, they'll back me up. You might not see them, but trust me, they are there. Ants of every shape, kind, and size. And a lot of them bite, which can be a little unpleasant when you brush an anthill in your flip-flops. Ask me how I know. Another thing that you need to know is that living here in Ocala is pretty different than vacationing here. When you're here on vacation, you're all, ooh, it's so nice and warm, let's go outside and soak up the sun. Or you find that great spot by the pool and start working on your tan. But once you live here for a while, you'll be slathering on the sunscreen and looking for that favorite shady spot in order to get out of the sun, just like the rest of us. Don't get me wrong, warm is nice. But every once in a while, a little more variation in temperature would be nice too. Just saying. And don't even get me started on winter. Do you love cozy, comfy sweaters and winter styles? Forget it. I mean, they sell them here. And I even buy one or two every year. And then I wait. And I wait. And then finally comes that glorious day when it's finally cold enough to wear one of them for a couple of hours before I have to change to short sleeves. Which brings me to another point. Ocala may be central Florida, but we're still a tropical climate, which means that we have pretty great weather year-round. We never have to shovel snow, and our temps rarely dip below freezing. So we're not stuck inside all winter like some areas that get buried under snow for 6 months out of the year. We're out doing stuff all year long. But along with the tropical climate comes tropical pests, as in mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are not your friend. In the summer months, bug spray is going to be your friend. Unless you're lucky enough to be like my husband. And I don't know what it is about him, but mosquitoes never seem to bother him. Me, they treat like an all-you-can-eat buffet, but him hardly ever gets bit. Totally unfair. And if you like to garden like I do, one of the things that you'll want to know about Ocala is the fact that you can pretty much have a vegetable garden all year round. I mean, I love growing my own veggies, so that is just a huge plus for me. There's just something really satisfying about grabbing whatever you need for dinner out of your very own garden. And being able to do it all year, well, that's just one of the things I love about living here. Okay, well, full disclosure, you might not enjoy gardening all year. From early July to sometime around mid-September, early October, the bugs and the heat can make it pretty tough to really enjoy working in the garden. So most people pull everything out and wait for fall to start over when the weather's a bit more bearable and the bugs have died out a little. The summer bugs can take a huge toll on your garden, but that still leaves the other 9 months of the year for growing stuff. The big difference is that what places farther north consider spring vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, those we grow here in winter. Now further south, you can be a little limited as to what kinds of fruits and vegetables you can grow due to the heat. But here in Ocala, we get just enough cooler weather that there really isn't a whole lot you can't grow here, at least during some part of the year. Of course, the flip side of that is that everything else grows year-round here too, including weeds. Which is really weird because the grass does slow down a little and go dormant, but the weeds, our weeds have superpowers. So even though it's a dead of winter, you can probably expect to have to mow at least once or twice before spring. And if you do garden like I do, you'll be pulling weeds out year-round too. Not as many and not as often, but the weeds never give up. And I can't leave out the one thing that everybody seems to want to know about Ocala. At least it's one of the main things that people ask me about, and that's about alligators. As in, do we have them here? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, we do. You can pretty much figure that in any decent-sized body of fresh water in Florida, there's at least one alligator living in it, or one making a beeline for it in order to move in. But just like most other wild animals, alligators tend to avoid human beings whenever possible. Your odds of getting attacked by a gator in Florida are about 1 in 3.2 million, which basically means that you're a whole lot more likely to get hit by a car here than you are to get attacked by an alligator. And yeah, we have cars here too. So hopefully you've gotten some helpful information about living here in Ocala and maybe even had a chuckle or two, who knows. But regardless, remember to like and subscribe, because even if you didn't like this week's video, you might just love the one next week, who knows? Don't risk it!